I'm on site.
Let's move on, man. Let's move on. I wanted to talk about Lady Do. Since we're on some music, let's talk about Lady Do. So Lady Do, she has gone onto her Twitter to, just educate the youth, dish out some advice, give some 411 on the music industry, just some things to keep in the back of your mind when you enter the music industry, and just I guess things from that she's experienced from her dealings with the artists and people and labels and businesses and all of that. So she's dishing out some really nice advice for up and coming artists, and I think people should really take what she's saying. And yeah, so we're just gonna read them, and yeah, okay. So she posted it on Twitter and then she posted it on Instagram. So Lady Do, so I guess it's a 411 to the music business. Yeah. So here's the number one. It says, don't record anything before you sign any paperwork and discuss your percentage. People change when songs are hits. Print out contracts and make sure you take them to the studio. Yes, very important. Very, very important. I agree with that. Same thing. I mean, like, we just saw Sheba shit was now, it was crying. It said there was no split sheets. It doesn't know it happened. There was no printer. I didn't hear a printer. There was no Canon printing. There was nothing happening. No pens. No ways. Nigga didn't sign shit. No contract. Nothing. Nigga. So this is a very good advice. Before you do anything, go there with your own split sheets. If niggas start looking at you funny, just say, "Hey, my lady do said I must come with my own split sheets." Here's my agreement. Before I start working, come, let's sign. So it's good advice. Good advice. Okay, number two, she goes on to say, record yourself if you can. It saves you from a lot. Okay, that one is a bit debatable because I think, especially if you're doing a feature, if you're doing a feature, the synergy is obviously a lot better when you're in studio with everybody. Like imagine someone calls you to come and do a feature, and you say, "No, it's okay. I'll do it over here. You just send me." You're not really gonna get a lot of requests like that because a lot of producers, a lot of artists like to work with people right in the studio so they can feel the synergy and the song can just like sound a bit better. It sounds like everyone's in unison, stuff like that. So I understand what you're saying though. If you can record yourself, definitely it is a benefit because if you're recording yourself and your vocals, you're definitely going to own the masters because it's going to be on your computer. You're going to have that tangible thing and you're just going to send out the copies, but you have the fucking master. So as opposed to going to a studio and then someone else is recording you and on their computer, they're going to have the masters to their song. So yeah, so I get what she means. I guess it depends. You gotta It's tricky with that advice. You gotta see where you can apply it, where you can't apply it. But yeah, I think she skipped number three, so it goes on to four. Understand the music business and how royalties work. Yes, definitely very important. Don't need to elaborate on that. Okay, is this still part of four? I guess so. Before you start buying designer clothes, make sure you have secured yourself via investments outside of music. Also, learn to buy property instead of renting in the peak of your career. By the time you get gigs, you focus solely on finishing it. Start a business to help you even when you are not gigging. Very, very, very crucial advice. Very true. Definitely, like I think this is one of the most important advices that for a lot of artists, like your peak, you're only gonna reach like your peak once. If you're lucky, you're gonna reinvent yourself on some KO type sheet, and you're always gonna peak and peak and peak and peak. But for the average artist, you're gonna be like here, and you're gonna be gigging. And mind you, your peak can last a long time. Your peak can last like 2 years, 3 years. For your peak can last like 5 years. But you must understand, you're gonna come down that peak. Everybody comes down that peak. So you gotta make sure that once you're declining, once you're not being booked as much, once your sale decreasing, once your attention, the eyeballs are not really on you as much. You got to make sure that you have other side hustles and other businesses that will be able to still sustain the life that you've already built. All the things that you've already bought and invested into your house, your cars, your wherever you're living, your expenses type shit. You want to be able to still maintain the same life you have, even if it's not through music. You know what I mean? Because trust me, when you go down, you're gonna go down. And if you don't have anything to cushion the fall, that's when niggas start coming out and now saying, the label stole from me. I didn't get the royalties. I didn't see my. Well, you fucking blew the money on Gucci and fucking what. So very good advice. Let's move on. Um, okay. So then she goes on to say, I made the biggest mistake when I started music, but I was smart. I always used text to communicate with people, never calls. And today, when I have to fight for my royalties, I, I gave the lawyers my text messages. Verbal agreements don't court. For every song I jumped on, I have an upper hand. Upper hand. Okay, that's dope. That's a really smart way she's found herself. Yeah, definitely. I guess it's important to keep a paper trail, keep emails, keep text messages, especially if they're from important people. You don't want to let go of that information that you could possibly use as an upper hand when you're in legal battles. So definitely, as people say, have receipts, Baba. Receipts are the what will keep you from starving, from starvation. You must have receipts of what your label said, what your manager said, what this person said, da 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 da. Because calls you can call, but then you don't have a record of calling like what was said on the call. He can say, I just said this. Me, I didn't say this. Me, I didn't say that. Type vibe. So also very sound advice. Let's move on. Know what you signed up for, especially with your manager. Some of them actually destroy what your vision is because of greed. Never ever allow people to take money on your behalf. Let them pay you, then you pay them. I learned this the hard way. I've been running my own business now, so well, I've made enough to build businesses outside of music. Knowing your worth is so important in this business. Definitely. I think when you entering the music business, your first instance is to, oh, you need the manager, you need someone who's going to help you to take bookings and to fucking manage your funds and all of that, and definitely, of course, you do need a manager. Like everybody needs a manager, especially if you're an artist. You want to focus solely on producing and making the art to the best. You don't focus on the other ancillary things that will just cloud up your creativity. So yes, you want to outsource that job to other people, but you have to know the best way to do that. You can't give a single person complete control, freedom over your money, over your expenses, deciding everything, your bank accounts, and all of that. Like that's not a good idea. At the end of the day, you got to make sure that you're getting the money. It's your fucking money. You work hard for it, and then you pay your people that you've employed, because your manager is your employee. You are the employer of your manager. So you got to pay your manager, not the manager getting the money and then the manager. It's vice versa. It doesn't work like that. So that's why most artists, when they get to that established stage, what they do is that they create a company, and then they become pretty much the product of that company. So they sell themselves as an artist, and then they get the money through their company, and then through their company they pay the employees of their company, including the managers, booking agents, da, 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 da. But they know that the money is coming directly to them, and they're the ones authorizing the distribution of that money. Because yeah, managers are just there to manage. They're gonna try and maximize your gigs. They're gonna try and maximize as much deals they can, because obviously they're gonna get a cut and they're gonna get a percentage. But they don't always necessarily have your best interest at heart. Sometimes for them it's just about how much can they make out of you, and that's why you see a lot of artists get overworked. They're doing so many shows because maybe their booking fee is just too little. You know what I mean? Like, um, and that's just because the managers will just end up just taking any sort of deal, and because um managers have relationships with booking agents and people who books and club owners and stuff like that, so naturally they want to now start, because the booking people at the clubs, the booking agents at the clubs, they know the managers, so they're gonna be like, but just give me a deal on your artist, da 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 da, just let him perform 5K. Meanwhile, the artist actually charges like 10 bands. So now, because they have deals, you have to do more shows because you're not charging the correct amount, and that's just becomes draining, becomes a lot, and the more shows you do, the less time and energy you have to be in the studio to make more music, to make more hits, to actually collaborate. And because doing shows are great and getting the money is great, but if you're not balancing it out with producing more and more, because you have to still be consistent with what you're producing, what you're making. It still has to be hot, still has to be relevant, still has to be a hit. And then you have to also still book and gig and all of that, so it can get tricky. So definitely, again, very good sound advice. Let's carry on. Okay, she then goes on to say, Why is it showing like this? I was lucky enough to have saved all my booking fees to afford a good lawyer. Also, I thank Uncle Oscudo for introducing me to a great woman to help me with my royalties. I experienced the most selfish behavior from people I trusted, but I thought they're still under audit. The reason I like posting this is because I'm older, wiser. I need to help y'all keep track of your career. Definitely, lady, do definitely. And then she goes on to say, as you grow as an artist, it is important to understand that streams no longer make money. Most artists make money from bookings. Also, be aware of artists that sell you dreams knowing they live off advances from major companies, signing contracts that blind them. Learn to build a stable career with no debt if you have chased it. So yeah, definitely again, also very good advice. Definitely correct. Especially the part about the streams. I mean, man, if you know about streaming and you know how very little streaming platforms pay to artists per streams, you will really understand that even if you have a song, a hit song, and it has 1 million plays, that 1 million plays can be like roughly 40,000 rand, more or less. From that 40,000 rand, you probably signed a deal with a label. So if you're lucky, you might be getting 50%. So from that 40,000 rand, you probably get like 20,000 rand. From the 20,000 rand, they still tax. So you might probably see like 13,000 rand. From that 13,000 rand, you got to pay your manager and all of that. So yeah, so streaming, it's obviously if you're like the big artists and big established artists who have millions and billions of streams, definitely you're gonna make a lot of money from streams. But unfortunately, in the continent that we're in and in the country that we're in, digital streams are just not that high because also a lot of people in our country don't have access to internet, don't have access to mobile devices, don't have access to streaming platforms. So obviously the biggest mode of still listening to music is still radio because it's free, it's affordable, it's free pretty much. You get a car, you get a radio. It's like a 2 for 1. So streaming platforms, yeah, they are a few millions and millions of people on it and stuff like that, but it's not a lot. Like when you look at YouTube videos and stuff and you see all these music play, a lot of it doesn't come from South Africa. A lot of it comes from different places. Like maybe probably majority of it will come from South Africa. Let's say a song has 10 million plays, maybe like 6 of it will come from South Africa. The rest will come from all over the world. You know what I mean? So yeah, and even from that 10 million plays, it's just not that much money. So definitely what you're saying is correct. Yeah, I think she's almost done. Let's carry on. Yeah, she's done. No, wait. Sorry. I changed the post by mistake. Okay. Yeah, we're here. Okay. In art, you can never have a perfect life. You'll make money, lose money, some will steal your money, definitely. But I want you all to know the purpose, know why you're doing what you're doing, and follow that, not trends, not brands, not luxury lifestyle lived on social. Be true to who you are, and the universe will be true to you. Definitely. Definitely. It's just still going on. I experienced so much, but it was to build my thick skin. I literally know and have studied a lot of things from experience. Da, 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 da. Okay, cool. Thanks, lady. Do now you're just going on to say too much. But yeah, that was her advice. I think it was very sound advice, very good advice, especially for up and coming artists and people who who want to join the entertainment space, want to join the music industry. Definitely, shout out to her for dishing out game like that. It's a pity that KO had to humble her. Snake dissing is something I don't want to see a lady do. Shout out to KO, man. Shout out to KO. Well,